Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate, episode 13 of our Star Wars Unlimited podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We had a tremendous weekend. Oh my gosh, pre-release weekend is just so good. So excited for all of the pulls. I will tell you in a minute what some of the crazy stuff that happened this weekend. But essentially our team combined has entered over 8 pre-release events, and we pulled so many cards, it's not even funny. With set 2 on the horizon, right, I'm very excited to kind of give a brief summary about, I want to go through some legendaries, talk about, what I feel their costs are going to be. The idea behind this is, right, like to kind of help you decide, do you want to continue to keep the legendaries you have, or do you want to trade them away? Because I know, like, for example, I got 4 Dryden Vosses over the course of the weekend. I don't need 4 of them. I mean, maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe there's a deck that'll let me run 4 somehow. But as of now, I only need 3. And so, like, do you trade a Dryden Voss for a Kylo? Do you trade it for a Crate Dragon? What should you be trading? So JJ and I are going to break down tonight where we feel legendary costs are going to be ranked to kind of help give you a guide as you go into opening your boxes next week. With that being said, we have a video that I kind of cut down that's our set 2 leader rankings. That is going to drop on Tuesday this week, so you'll be able to see just that portion of it from last week's show. Nothing super new, but just another video to kind of say, hey, look, here's some information. We're trying some things out as we're changing the podcast up a little bit. To say, would you rather have all of our videos broken down into segments, or would you rather just watch one big, long type segment throughout the week? We also, I was told I can have a box Thursday night at midnight. I get a box so I can open my box from one of the stores that I pre-purchased things at. So I'm going to be doing a box unveiling that will drop Friday morning. So I will do it Thursday night. Maybe I'll do it live. Maybe I won't do it live. I have no idea if I'll do it live or not. But essentially, I will go ahead and I'm going to do a box unveiling for my first actual box for set 2. With that being said, let me bring in my co-host for the night. Please welcome to the show, Mr. JJ. Your hat is 1,000,000% horrible. Gridiron, how are you tonight, Dadlorian?
I'm doing all right, man. Man, what a weekend for SWU, man. Just had a great time over here. I was unfortunately unable to go to my local stores in North Carolina as I'm down here in Florida for vacation. But I was able to go to some of my old shops that was here. And man, what a blast it was to play at these pre-release events. A lot of the players I saw are people that I played with previously for Armada and X-Wing back when I lived here. And it was just such a big like party like feel for me, like to see everybody again and play everybody again. It was great. I really love the smuggle mechanic that's come out. I really enjoy the bounties and the capturing mechanics. I wasn't really sure how they would feel until like I actually put it on the table. And it was so much fun. And I think it's made the game even better so far.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of neat that you're able to actually go and like hang out with people that we used to hang out with, like for X-Wing. Like I would like to go play Crispy. He loves his double red craziness, and he's got a deck he sent me that he's like, oh, this is really cool, I've been testing this, it kind of like goes and does all these other things. And so I was like, I'm not going to share it here because that's a violation, right, obviously, but it is kind of cool. It is something that he's been working on, and it's something that he essentially was like, hey, this is kind of cool. So it's nice that you're able to hang out with people. I went to 3 pre-releases this weekend. I got to see a lot of people. I ran one at my local store, and then I also I also attended 2 other ones, one on Saturday, one Sunday. My wife is not ecstatic with me. But essentially I was Saturday, because the 2 on Saturday and Sunday were both in the middle of the day. We're preparing for vacation, so it did throw a little bit of I do feel a little bit bad. But she did let me do it, because we're going on vacation next week, so I'll be gone most of next week.
Gotcha.
Out having fun on vacation. But I was told I couldn't bring my SWU stuff, so I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. I have to edit videos, and I have to somehow sort and put all my cards away. I don't know what I'm going to do, so we'll see what my night experiences are. But what I thought we'd do to kind of begin with is talk a little bit about, like what we ran for draft, all these other things. Unfortunately, Alex was not able to be here tonight. But Alex also participated in 3 draft events. Alex had a total of going 9-1. So I guess if you ever meet Alex at a draft, just don't play him. That's like the key. Alex went 4-0 with Ray Red, then he went 3-0 with Ray Red, and then he went 2-1 with a Fennec Blue, which is just an odd combination of stuff.
Yeah. Definitely, like you would not expect to hear like a Fennec Blue, and do that well with it. I mean, I definitely got to see what pulls he had, to go to do that well with Fennec.
Yeah, and so he 2-1. He, like I said, he had a pretty good weekend. I went the first night. I went 2-2 with Cad Red. One really heartbreaking game towards the end against my son, who I was winning until he brought out a crate dragon, and that just kind of there was nothing I could do. I went 2-1 yesterday with Boba Red. So I ran the new Boba, had a whole bunch of keyword stuff that I could work with. Worked very, very well. Was able to go 2-1 with that. Only game I lost was a game that went to time, and it was kind of between me and the other guy, and was like, you have more damage on my base than I on yours. I'll just give it to you. There's no reason for a double loss. Like that just seems silly to, yeah, in a casual fun event, whatever. And I ended up coming in third anyway, so like I still got third with my 2-1. And then today I ran Han Blue, and I went 3-0 with Han Blue, which is crazy because Han is too stupid good. But I got Wookiees upon Wookiees, and I'm gonna tell you what.
Nice.
Tarful. If you pull Tarful and you could build a hero deck, and you got some other Wookiees, I had 2 Gentle Giants in my deck plus Tarful.
Oh, you're so lucky.
If you can get to that state, like, oh man, like it just boom. See ya. Have a nice time. Tarful. I think Tarful. I don't know. I built a Wookiee deck. I'm going back tonight or tomorrow or sometime next week, and I'm going to rebuild my Wookiee deck. I have a Wookiee deck 100% that I wanted to run, and I'm going back to it because, oh my gosh, like there is so much you can do with it. But now I actually wonder if Chewie is not the correct Wookiee person to use, and if Han is actually a better leader to use with the Wookiees. But I had so much fun, much fun with that deck. Like there's just so much crazy, weird synergy. Like I even threw in that stupid bounty hunter guild guy because I had one other bounty hunter in there, and I actually got it off once. So I was like, oh, there you go. Like there's 2 damage to it. I don't know. So good. So good. I had so much fun running that. What did you run this weekend?
So I only got to go to 2 events. So my first event, I was a little shortchanged because I pulled almost an equal amount of cards for all the different aspects, but I ended up going with a Hondo deck with green, and I ended up having to put in a couple of out of aspect cards in there, mainly with Smuggle, just so I can take advantage of Hondo's ability, and I didn't win any mines. I had a couple of 2-1 losses, and I ended up going 0-3 for that particular event. Though the smuggle effect with Hondo is really great, especially if you can put in ambush units. And I think that's where Hondo really shines, is if you're able to put in a lot more ambush units for smuggle that you can immediately take out and attack and have that experience that Hondo gives whenever you bring a unit out from smuggle. I think that's probably his biggest strength. Unfortunately, I only had like 2 cards that could do that, and I only drew them like twice in all 3 of my games, so didn't do too well. Cad Bane, however, he was my last event that I did yesterday. I did a green Cad combo, and I gotta say, Cad Bane is amazing. I was fortunate enough to have a Lady Proxima card to go with it, which combos really well because he's all about having underworld characters. And between having Salacious Crumb, coming in and out constantly, dealing a damage to the base, healing damage back to my base, then using Lady Proxima to deal damage, and then Cat Bane to deal another damage to somebody out. Just having that much interaction with Salacious Crumb with Lady Proxima out, like man, just able to deal so much damage, especially when you deploy Cat and you start dealing out 2 damage per. Man, CAD just absolutely can melt a lot of units there. My loss that I had, my very first one, I just got blown out flat out there. But my last two, my second and third rounds, were very very close. I ran against a red raid deck, which resulted in a 1-on-1 tie. So we just did a road roll, and I call it a road roll. We just did a roll off to see who would win. Unfortunately, I lost that roll there, but I did really well. That particular raid deck actually had a lot of Wookiees in it, especially Gentle Giant, which can benefit from Ray's ability to give it an experience point. And the only way I can ensure that it didn't get out of hand was constantly using capture cards, which fortunately I was able to pull a lot of in that particular deck, to snatch them away and basically wipe out their experience, and forcing my opponent to deal with that particular captor while I had my space units come in uncontested and just bash Ray as hard as possible. And then the second one that I played against was a Moff Gideon red deck, which is also really, really good with cheaply costed units that he's able to buff up, that can really build up really fast with damage. But luckily, I was also able to hold him off. Also ended up in a 1-1 tie, and I just lost the roll off there, and then I won on a bye. But overall, it was a really, really fun event.
Yeah. And I think that's the best part about this whole thing, right? Is that it's just, these are very fun events. We have a video, if you haven't seen it already. There is a video with that I did with Alex on step 1, and then I did an unboxing of a pre-release kit to kind of go through things. I dropped that. I think I dropped that on Thursday. I was granted a pre-release kit again a little bit early, just so I could go through it with people, that type of a thing. And so we're going to see, we'll kind of see, hopefully, if those benefit you. If they do, give them a like, I don't know, share them with everybody else. Like I said, our draft pre-release videos are designed to kind of help you. We'll be focusing a little bit more on deck building and things like that in the upcoming episodes. But what I wanted to do is I want to transition, and I want to talk about legendary pricing, right? Because I think that's like a big thing that's going to be a part of this, right? And I only say this because as a podcast, one of our traditional values ever since we've been doing X-Wing is like, how do we help you, find and become a little bit better of a player? And how do I want to help you so that you don't just run into, having a bad day where you get a legendary and someone's like, well, I'll give you these other 3 other cards. And so the idea is as you're building a deck, right, you want to go through each of your different legendaries and say, well, which ones are going to, benefit you the most? So if you only play, for example, I have a friend that comes to a lot of our local events. He runs Leia. That's his main deck. He's going to pick a new deck up from set 2, and then those are going to be his 2 main decks. That's the only stuff he buys for. Everything else he trades away to get cards specifically. So the idea here is JJ and I want to go through and kind of rank dollar value where we feel each of the different cards are, especially after playing with a lot of them from this weekend. I don't know about you, but I got way too many legendaries in my pre-release kits. I don't know how. So I guess long story short is I had we originally had I took both my sons, my nephew, and then my brother and his boyfriend showed up, and I paid for everybody. So it was the most expensive one. I didn't pay. I'm sorry, I didn't pay for one of my sons because it was his birthday. A friend of his paid for this. But essentially, between all of us, one of my brother pulled a Kylo Hyper foil, right? And in his box, and he was like, yeah, maybe I should just give you the $25 you paid for the box. I was like, no, I already bought that box. That's my card. I don't care. That's my card now. You don't get that. I don't know. Maybe I'll let him have it if he wants to continue playing the game. Maybe I'll let him have it. But like we pulled, I don't know, a couple of Dragon Vosses. We got crate dragons. My son pulled in his prize pack. He pulled a hyperspace crate dragon. Right.
Nice.
So anyway, so long story short, I thought it would be fun to kind of rank dollar value wise the legendaries, and we're not going to talk about hyperspace or hyperfoil. We're just going to talk base level legendaries. And the idea behind that, right, is because if you're doing this, if you're going out and trying to collect the full set, you don't want to spend the large amount of dollars on some of the more expensive ones, then don't worry about it. You could get Vader for $70, or you can spend 150 and get a hyperspace version, or I don't know. I think 250 is the going rate for a hyperspace foil. Whatever. We only care about the lower end ones because all the fancy shit I get that are legendaries, I'm hoping to trade away for better or more legendaries. My goal is a 2-for-1 ratio. That's what I like. So I don't know. You played. What did you play? You said you played
Cad Bane and Hondo.
All right. So did you pull any legendaries in your boxes, your pre-release kits?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was able to pull Ray. I was able to pull Garth Saxon. I was able to pull Calculated Lethality. I got, of course, the foil Moff Gideon and Mando leader units that came with the pre-release boxes there, and I was also able to pull the Fennec.
All right. Well, why don't we start with Ray? So we have Ray here, and essentially Ray lets you play her in decks with Kylo. So you could play her in other offsuit decks with Kylo. I don't know, do we want to start off? Where do you think Ray's going to come in price stats?
Ray is definitely a really good commodity to have in the decks there, especially if you're building like a red-blue deck. Just the ability that she provides there allows her to really be effective, especially with some of your cheaper costed units that have like low attack there. I think she will be a pretty good card to have in there as a support character. I think right now she will probably be in the second to highest tier, just based on the gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Based on the value that she adds to the particular list there. I think that she's definitely going to be like second to highest tier between 50 and 80.
Do you think she's going to go for more than $50?
I believe so, mainly because just based on what I saw for the two events that I went to, my second event was a lot more larger than my second event or my first event. But in my second event, we had 30 players, and I was the only person. I'm sorry, no, myself and Crispy were the only people that were able to pull Ray out of all those packs. So she wasn't available. Now, granted, that's a very small sample size. But when you factor in how many boxes were open and how many packs were given out, and only 2 Rays were pulled, it's difficult to. I think she's one of the harder ones to find. She's going to be right alongside Kylo, I think, in terms of availability and being able to pull. So I think for that reason, she's definitely going to be a lot higher than 50 for sure.
All right. So now the question is, do you think she's better than Luke?
No, Luke has a lot more versatility in terms of the people that he can affect. Ray's going to be just below Luke, but Luke just has a lot more versatility, honestly, for what he can provide.
So, and the reason I asked that is because Luke's coming in at $37 on average.
There's also a lot more Lukes available.
Well, that's only because we haven't opened boxes yet, AJ.
Right, exactly. But if we're talking about it starting as of right now, there's
all right. So how about this? I'm sorry. Let me back up. This is pricing based on what'll happen after release day. So after next Friday, after everybody gets all their boxes and everybody tears everything open, by that Monday, where do you think Ray will be?
I still think that she'll hover around the 50 mark. Luke is good for what he does, but however, you're only playing him in heroic blue decks. Ray has a lot more versatility, so there'll be a greater demand for her. So I think because of that, her demand to to be included in those particular decks that can benefit from her ability will create a higher price point just because she's going to be more in demand. So yeah.
All right. So I will split hairs with you. I'm going to say she's going to be more than 30 and less than 50. There you go.
Okay.
So do you think Kylo fits in that same boat then?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you're telling me right now, if I found a Luke and Rey for $25, I should just buy them?
Oh,
and
yeah.
complete my collection.
For sure.
Okay.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Why don't we go with Dryden Voss? Essentially, Dryden Voss comes in shielded. If you have a capture card, you essentially take control of that, flip it, and it becomes an active card that you get to play. He's a 7-cost yellow-black with I think it's a 5. It's either a 4/7 or a 5/7 stat.
He's a 5/7. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Where do you feel financially Dryden comes in at?
Probably a little bit lower. He's probably going to be in the 20, 25 range, I would say, for demand there, mainly because there is a lot more that you have to do in order to really make him effective. You have to have a lot of good units that can take advantage of it, of his ability and use him in order for him to be more feasible in a particular list. And for that, he is not providing an immediate benefit for it. Sure, there'll be lists that will definitely benefit from having it, that can build around it. But him by himself, he's not providing a great value there. So he'll probably be lower. I honestly, I would be okay with saying that he'll be closer to the $10 mark, honestly. But it is a legendary, so a little higher or a little harder to find. So I'm going to say he's going to be less than $30 for sure.
All right. I will agree wholeheartedly with that one. All right. Why don't we pick Crate Dragon? Crate Dragon basically says when an opponent plays a card, they do damage to a base. It is a singular red unit. What do you think?
Oh man, as a person who got destroyed by Crate Dragon, yeah, this base is going to be very, very much in demand for red decks, especially ones that can ramp up like a red green deck. This one definitely probably going to be above $30 because it can absolutely be a game winner at the end. So yeah, I think so.
So what do you think? Which tier?
I think it's going to be above $30.
All right. My belief is that this fits over $50 below 90. That's my theory.
Okay.
And I say that because my belief is that it can fit in more decks unless we have an insane amount of pull. It is a bomb card, and I don't know. I stated this when this card is stupid. The only thing that like is good against this card is control, really, and you have to be like very careful with control. And this card, but I think this card is easily over a $50 card. Like I personally would almost put it up to $100, but I'm gonna be casual and say 50 to 90.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yep.
All right. Why don't we do? I don't know. Let's do Poe next.
Yeah.
Essentially, Poe he's a 6/6. He comes in at 5. So he has a insanely good stat line. He is a red hero, but he also basically says discard a card from your hand. You get to pick one of these 3 options. You can then discard as many cards as you want, up to 3, and basically pick each one of the different options. And one of them is do 2 damage. Another one is make them discard a card, and I don't remember what the third one is off the top of my head, but it's something crazy. I'll look it up. Where do you think Poe comes in at?
I think Poe is going to come in around the $30 mark. Probably closer to 50, honestly. This is another card similar to Crate Dragon that can help you win games, right? If your opponent's down to 24 health, and that's pretty easy to do pretty fast in a red deck. Playing Poe and just discarding 3 cards right off the bat to just
you can't do that. I'm going to correct you. You cannot discard 3 cards and discard 3 of their cards.
No,
you can discard your own.
Discard 3 of your own cards.
Gotcha.
To then deal 6 damage to the base.
You can't do that. You cannot do that. You cannot. You can only
Oh,
do
that's
it
right.
one.
It's one
Yeah.
per. Yeah, yeah. Good point. Good point. But still, it is a good way to. It does feel like a bomb card. Just being able to do that spike damage, defeated upgrade, which could be like an experience or a shield for a unit, and forcing your opponent to discard a card from their hand. I mean, it does uh, go well with some of the other options that come in for red for helping to discard your opponent's hand or controlling your opponent's hand. I think this has a lot of utility in any particular list. I haven't played against this particular card in my two events, but I've seen other people play it, and I've seen them completely swing a game, in their momentum into their favor. And it's really that good of a card for being cheap as it is, a 5 cost. I think this is absolutely going to be a very well sought out card.
So do you think below 50 or above 50?
I'm gonna cautionly say below 50. Yes.
All right. All right. So I will put that in the same category as Luca Ray. I think it floats between those two
Yeah.
personally. So I agree with you. I think like it has really good like synergy and play, but I think the deal becomes is that it is very hero consistent. Um, but I do think it's going to be. My belief is it'll hit about 45 is my guess. So
Yeah.
all right, what do we
Let's do
want
Kylo's
next?
Tie Silencer.
All right,
Yeah, so Kylo's Tie Silencer, I was not fortunate enough to pick this one up or Kylo Ren, unfortunately, but I've seen this played, and I gotta say, this card, being a 2 cost card, being able to be played from the get go, super super good, especially if you're able to discard it right off the bat and then as an action redeploy it onto your battlefield. It is so so good. I absolutely think this is going to be a really good card to have, especially when you combine it with what we had before with Poe. This absolutely, it just can be really good. I mean, sure. I mean, you can ignore the aspect penalty with it, right? If you're running a red heroic deck, you can include these in there, discard them through various game effects, and then just bring them in and not even have to worry about the aspect penalty. This is definitely going to be a very sought out card to have. It is not overly strong. I mean, it's only 3 attack and 2 health, but it is a cheap way to start punching in damage early on in the game. And if your opponent doesn't have an answer to help slow down on the space race, you're going to win games. So yeah,
so where did you put it?
I would put this at $50 or more.
Ooh, mm-mm.
I think
I'm
so.
I'm I actually would place this card at the $10 and under personally.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah. Because there's so many other like 3 costs, right? And like the discard is specific to Kylo Ren. There is some other stuff that I mean you could pillage and then force an opponent to play, but you're not going to play this offsuit. Like you're not going to play this offsuit. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to play this and force yourself. You're not going to play force throw and throw Kylo's silencer into the guard. It's just that's too niche of a thing. I will split the difference and I will tell you I believe it fits in this less than $30.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, honestly, when I think of this, right, I'm thinking of like red green decks, especially when you start playing cards like Mon Mothma, when you're starting to search for particular cards. You can help mill your deck a little bit faster, and go that way. Or if you're playing this in an Afro deck, for instance, if you're doing like a yellow red deck, that's definitely another way to do it right off the bat as well. But yeah, it is niche, but it's still a powerful effect. Being able to play it out of your discard pile can be really strong, I think.
All right. Let's move on to Finalizer. Essentially, Finalizer has Overwhelm, right? And then it also says, by the way, every friendly unit can capture a unit in their arena when it gets played. It's an 11.
Yeah,
It's an 11 cost, 11/11.
yeah, absolutely great card to swing. I was lucky to pull a few of these. This card can swing the balance. I was able to capture a crate dragon with with a random like shore trooper that I had on there with this finalizer, and it was freaking hilarious because like you take away all your offense from your opponent, right? Because now they have to replay cards from their hands that are going to be exhausted if they don't have ambush, and now they have to try to go after those units that capture those cards so that way they can get them back into the game. Finalizer just really helps, especially if you're leading in the game. You basically take out all the win from your opponent. Absolutely bomb of a card. This is probably going to be at the same tier as Crate Dragon, I would say for sure.
Whoa. No way. I
Yes,
don't think so. Well,
yes,
that's the case.
yes.
I'm
I think so.
rich. 'Cause I've got 4 of these things too. So
Nice, nice, man.
I'm putting this at the $10 and under card.
What?
Yeah.
No, no,
Yes. You want to
no,
hear why?
no way. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So Devastator is about $10, 10 to $12. Devastator
Okay.
comes out one resource before. Devastator has Sentinel. Devastator does damage equal to the amount of resources you have to a unit when it comes out. Finalizer makes you have units. If you have no units, I agree with you, in draft or in sealed, it's probably a decent card if you can get to that
Okay, that's
unit
fair.
amount. But like,
Okay.
you're against aggro, or are we gonna get to, are you gonna ever get to 11 resources? I mean, I will tell you, I play a lot of Pelp. I wish Alex was here because Alex plays a lot of Pelp too. We play a lot of Pelp, and like when we compare costs to like Devastator, most of the time I prefer Devastator over Finalizer. I think maybe in a draft and sealed where you can get to 11 resources, sure. I will put it to you this way: I hit 10 resources and my opponent gave up. After that, they didn't even, they just gave up playing. For the most part, though, I'm not even hitting 11 resources even in draft and sealed. I don't think it's a thing. There's going to be a very niche piece where you play it. My theory is it's under $10, but I'll tell you what, I will go with less than 30. Is that admirable?
Yep,
I mean, we could put it 50 or less. Like, this is technically more of a hair splitter, but like, I really don't think it's gonna hit more than $20.
Okay.
All right, let's do. I don't know this is the stupid. It's not stupid. I actually like this card a lot, but the Legions card. I gotta find the name of it.
The Emperor's Legion.
No,
No, Endless Legions.
Endless Legions.
Yeah. Okay. So this one's a 14 cost double green, and it reads: if you reveal any number of resources you're in control, please play each unit revealed in this way for free, one at a time. It is a big card to play. 14 cost though. That is a very tough ask, unless you're doing a ton of ramping in order for you to get this out. I mean, it does allow you some flexibility of putting in some of your higher costed cards into your deck to then reveal them using Endless Legions. But in the meantime, you gotta hope you get this card in your hand, and then B, hope that you survive the game long enough to reach 14 resources to then play Endless Legions, and then hopefully that's enough for you to win the game. Hopefully you've played a lot of Sentinels in on your side to help delay. I hope that you have Sentinels in your resource pile in order for you to delay your death for one turn, and hope that they don't have a super laser blast waiting to kill all your Endless Legions that you just put out on the board for you to take advantage of later on. This honestly, I see this under $10, just because there's just a lot of work in order for you to really get a full advantage of. If you do manage to pull it off, hell, I mean that's big. That's something really big. But honestly, I don't see this being like a very meta card. I don't see a lot of people really incorporating this in their list. They might have one copy of it just in case, on the off chance it does happen. But honestly, yeah, this is like a sideboard card for me, and it's going to be under $10 for sure.
All right, so I'm going to agree with you in the aspect of I think people view that card that way. I do not agree with you in the aspect of I think this card should be worth more and should be played more. And yes, it is niche. But for example, Hunter Green and Pulp Green and Jabba Green, all three of those I've successfully accomplished the goal of getting this out as not a one of, but as a three of.
Nice.
I will 100% though agree with you that people will undervalue this card, and selfishly, I would like you to all agree with me and make this card under $10 so I could pick up like 20 of these and then wait till they increase in cost.
Nice.
But for now, I have to agree with you. Let's do DJ next.
Okay.
So DJ essentially is if you smuggle him out, and you have to actually smuggle him to get this thing. If you play him as smuggled, you take control of an enemy resource. When this unit leaves play, the resource goes back to its owner's hand. So, I guess I'm going to go first this time, and I'm going to tell you that I think DJ is... I think DJ should be in the $50 range, but I believe he's less than $30. My guess is people will undervalue it, but because he's a neutral yellow, like he really should be a $50. Like he's what's going to happen is people are going to play him in like 7 different decks, and then all of a sudden his cost is going to skyrocket. But to begin with, he's going to be under $30. I actually think he's better than Dryden Voss personally for 7. But that's because I think yellow is broken to some extent.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you. I think that this will be an undervalued card right off the bat, just because being able to take over an opponent's resource and to use as your own is super strong. And yeah, I have to agree with you. Like, I think that across the board, this definitely has a lot more utility, more so than Dryden. So yeah, I would agree with you wholly. Yep.
All right. Next, well, what do we want to do next? Oh, let's do Mando next. Oh, do Snoke? All right, yeah, let's do Snoke. Let's see Snoke, baby. Where do you think Snoke comes? So Snoke essentially, when Snoke comes out, Snoke says every enemy non-leader unit gets -2, -2. Period. Like there's just no in between. You're just screw you. This is what you're at. Where do you think Snoke comes in at?
I gotta put this at the $50 mark. This card is so strong right off the bat. Being able to neuter your opponent's health and attack, just as a general ability of affecting space units, affecting ground units at the same time, is so strong. I mean, heck, a lot of the newer space units that come out only have 2 health, and so you essentially kill them right off the bat. Just playing this one card. This feels like it should be like an event card, but it's just a active ground unit. This is definitely going to see a lot of play, especially in. I would actually put him with like Gar Saxon to help buff or debuff my units while I have more upgraded units on my end. I could see this in a lot of different decks. This is going to be a very commonly played card, and I think that for that reason, it's going to be hitting that $50 or higher mark for what it can do.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I believe this is up there with Crate Dragon, and I think that's because Control is strong this set. And we had Aggro as a set 1. We're getting Control as a set 2. I won't lie and say I don't technically have this in my Kira deck, but I don't know. This is a really good card. I think his value falls in the 50-ish, $50 to $60 range. I feel he's as good a value as a Luke. I will tell you in draft and sealed, he is stupid. He is just stupid. He makes me very angry. Because when he comes out, if your stuff has 2 or less health, it just dies. It's gone. Like, it's a mini super laser blast if you have damaged things. So I'm actually reevaluating the Kira deck that I posted, and there's a discussion that I'm having internally about whether this should be part of that. But I agree with you, especially for now, he should be in the over $50 range. So, all
Yeah.
right, let's do Mando next.
Yeah.
I like Mando. Mando is awesome. Mando comes to us very much so with the fact that he says, I'm a Sentinel. I'm a 5/6 Sentinel for 6 cost. Also, when played, heal all damage from a unit with with a cost of 2 or less and give 2 shield tokens to it. Now, that's good unless you're playing against control, right?
Yeah.
You play against control, it's not as good. But it is still pretty good. That is a pretty good card. My nephew and my son both used it to good effect today in draft and pre-release. I personally feel because he's a popular character, he's going to be over 30 but under 50 because I feel he has a very niche playability value, but I also don't feel that he is going to. I think he's good in Ray decks, right? Like even
Yeah.
without
That's
Grogu,
exactly what I was gonna say.
he's really good in Ray decks.
Yeah.
I play him in Ray decks all the time. I think he's good in Luke decks because you can give him a shield and he's a Sentinel, so he's the same cost as one. I don't know. I think Mando falls between the $30 and $50 mark.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think I've seen this played with Ray decks, and man, Mando can absolutely just like gatekeep, like you getting in by just healing all damage off of a unit and giving shield tokens to it. Works really well with Wookiees as well too, but the ones that the cheap cost ones there. This is a very popular character, and we're going to see that demand for it just because he is a very popular character. Definitely going to be, I would put it in the same range as you, within the less than 50.
Yeah. All right. Let's do Final Showdown. It's a double yellow 6 cost. Ready every unit. If you don't win, you lose that turn.
It's a hilarious card. I love it. But I mean, it's definitely a gambit. I mean, you it's an all or nothing type of ordeal there. Um, Honestly, I see this at around the 10 cost thing because you always have that risk of you not being able to play this if you know ahead of time that's not going to be advantageous for you to like play all your units or already all the units that you can control. It really is relying on you setting this up for the long term, and it can be really hard on the control deck. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think not as useful for most decks, unless you have a way to really make sure that you can have a lot of units at the end to um, help push in that final damage there. But yeah.
So I feel this is more than $10, but less than 30. Fair. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I don't feel it's going to be under $10. I don't think it's like D tier, like just trash. I actually think this is a really good card, and I think we're going to see a lot more mono yellow coming to the surface. Because when you hit like churn 7, right? You can have your 8 resources, and you can then play out a bunch of low cost units. If they don't have Sentinel, you play this card. The next churn, I don't know. Like, I think it's really good, personally. So, but yeah, I don't think it'll be anywhere near the $30 mark. I think it'll be like $15. That's my guess. So,
Yeah.
good night. All right, let's do evacuate next. That's return everybody to their owner's hand. Essentially, it's not for you though.
Mhm.
No, yeah, actually, it is. It's return each non-leader
right.
unit to its owner's hand. So everybody.
Yeah, I've had to ask a couple of clarifying questions for this one because there's some interactions with like removing units and stuff. in terms of like capture units and such. But I think overall it's just everybody that's on the board with the exception of your leaders on there. Definitely really good as a defensive card, especially if your unit is playing like a really aggressive list, and they're over or spamming a lot of their units faster than you can put them out there. This is a really great card to help slow down or kill their momentum, especially if they've already spent all their resources playing cards already. This is a good way to just kind of delay them in order for you to reset the board and force them to try to rebuild that momentum from the beginning. And a lot of times it's hard because typically for some of those aggro decks, you're not doing much more resourcing towards the mid to late game, as you typically have a lot more cheaper cards. So it really limits you in the amount of cards you can play afterwards to try to recuperate from this attack. Meanwhile, an opponent that's playing this usually is resourcing more and has a lot bigger pool to play units more often. So it's actually can be a really good valuable card. I would definitely put this above $10, or under the 30.
All right. I guess because I created those tiers, I will grant that one as well. I think it's almost in the $10 and under tier. I don't know. I don't think it's as unplayable as Black 1 was, but I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say because like you have to return your own units, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, and it feels stupid because then like do you collect the bounties, right? Are we able to collect bounties? I don't know. Like, so there's too much variability for this card. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'll put it there and we'll call it a day, and because I don't want to spend hours on it.
All right.
All right. Let's do rule with respect. That's the next one. That one essentially is it's a 4 cost. It says a friendly unit captures each enemy non-leader unit that attacked your base this phase. And by the way, do not do this with a Sentinel unit because I did that with a Sentinel unit and regretted it. So don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're basically making them. It's going to be a free return pretty soon after that.
Yep. I mean, like, in fairness, like I had an opponent that had 3 units that attacked the base, and then I played that, captured them with my Sentinel, did 2 damage to their base, and the next turn they killed the Sentinel and got all their cards back. So I mean, I guess it delayed them 2 turns, right? So still, where do you think this falls?
Probably around the $10 range, honestly. Has some decent uses for it, but you can always capture the card that captured all those units, and then they all come back to your side anyway. So I mean, a good delay tactic, but I mean, could be useful. I definitely see this all as about a $10 card.
All right. So I'm going to change the tier. I'm going to say 15 and under. There you go. That's what we're going to do. Is we're going to say 15 and under. I agree with you. I think this is a 15 and under card. All right. We have 2 left. One of them is that double blue card, which I don't know. Oh, the double blue card is called Second Chance. And this one is an upgrade that says, when defeated for this phase, the unit's owner may play it from their discard pile for free. It's a double blue, so essentially it's a 6 cost if you play it in any blue deck, 4 cost if you're playing it in a double blue Saxon or Iden. Where do you think this falls?
Probably around the above $15 deck. I think it has a good utility above the across the board there. It's not really a bomb card. It's not like overly broken, but I think it's definitely a card that does give you a lot of good benefits across the board. So I would definitely put this in that between $30 to $15 range for what it can offer.
Yep, I would agree with you. I think you're right. All right, let's move on. The Darksaber, we already did Snoke. There we go. We'll put Snoke twice. I don't know why he's in there twice. We'll do Darksaber is the last one. Darksaber essentially says basically ignore it if it's a Mandalorian unit, right? Or so you can play this if you have Mandos off suit. You don't have to be on suit to have this. You also you cannot attach it to a vehicle. So just so you know, there's no vehicle attaching. And then it also says attached unit gains an on attack. Give an experience token to each other friendly Mandalorian unit. Um, it is an amazing legendary. What do you think, JJ?
Yeah, I think so. The thing, this is a card that's definitely going to be on the high tier. I would probably put this closer to $90 here, honestly, for what it can do. I mean, it's buffing your unit that's equipping it with a +4, +3, and then on top of that, it's giving an experience unit to other friendly Mandalorian units that are there already when you attack. If you're able to pull out, and thankfully this set does provide a lot of cheap Mando units that you could put on the board. This has a lot of utility across the board. I mean, you could put this in a Gar Saxon deck, you could put it in a Sabine deck. There's on a Mandalorian deck, it is
Mando,
just
Bo,
yeah,
Sabine.
yeah, yeah, exactly. There's so much utility for this particular card, and it's cheap. I mean, for 4 costs for what it can do, this is definitely a card that's going to see a lot of play, and it's for good reason. It's unique. You're only going to need, I mean, you probably want to have 2 copies of it if you can on it, because of what it can do. Because obviously there are cards that let you remove equipment, or if you're captured, you lose it anyway. But it's such a great upgrade to have on your Mando units, on your Mando decks. So this is going to be a really highly sought out card for what it can do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with so I changed the tiers again because I'm crazy like that. Instead of $90, I'll cap out at 80 and 80 or more.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna say I think this is an $80 or more card eventually.
yeah,
Like I know that's a this I think you and I have a very hot take on this. I don't think a lot of people believe this. I don't think people are gonna think that. I think that this card genuinely is an amazing card for this
yeah,
set, at least.
absolutely.
Well, all right. Well, that is our pricing tier rankings. We have a little bit more, and then I promise we'll be done for tonight. I told you it would be a shorter episode, and it's a little bit longer than I thought it would be. But we're gonna do we're gonna do our for a cause segment, and that's what we're gonna do because our for a cause segment essentially says, hey, what are crazy off the wall type things? And we had a couple of emails that came in. So I thought I don't want to call it a mailbag because I don't want to do this regularly. But if you do have questions and you want to email us, you're welcome to. You can also join our Patreon, and we'll do like a once a month Patreon only video where we talk to people and stuff like that. And I don't know. For me, this was the big one for this is we had a couple people message the podcast. So I was like, hey, let's do a small segment where we talk about what people are asking us. So here is our for a cause, I believe in segment. Welcome to our for a cause, I believe in segment. This weekend we had a couple of people message us, and so I thought it would be imperative that we talk a little bit about the questions we got. And so the first question that we got in is, after playing this weekend, what cards or decks do you feel are underrated and could pop up to kick off the new meta? So I will tell you Kira. I'll just flat out say Kira because I think Kira is outstanding. We already know Han is kind of up there towards the top of the event. But what other ones do you think are something that we could see pop up, JJ?
Lady Proxima, honestly, she was a card that I seriously underrated in the beginning because I'm like, oh, okay, you'll get 1 or 2 underworld cards, and you'll ping damage and so on. But after playing her in my Cad Bane deck, I seriously underestimated how effective she can be. Especially when you factor in cards like Salacious Crumb, which comes in dealing in damage to a base or to a unit of your choice. Then you do Proxima to deal damage to your base, and then if you have Cad Bane, you can deal another damage to a different unit. Just by playing that one card, you could repeat that over and over again as long as you have both of them on the board. Can be absolutely devastating in the long run. That little bit of chip damage over time, if your opponent underestimates Proxima's ability for what she can do in the list, they're going to lose the long game, especially if they can't heal the damage that's being done to them constantly. It is a seriously underrated card, and I think Underworld as a keyword has a lot of great options now, especially when you start, mixing in a couple of Sentinel units to help protect Proxima, having like return effects like McClunky, which helps you return a Underworld card and then deal 3 damage to another unit. And then you can play them later on again, especially if they're a cheap unit. You can absolutely just deal massive amounts of damage over time with those particular combos on there. So I think Proxima is definitely going to be a card that we're going to see a lot more often of.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually think that's a pretty good card. I've actually been running that in my Cad Bane decks, though. I don't think Cad Bane's as strong in Premier as it is in Draft and Sealed, personally. But I do think you're correct. Lady Proxima just gets triggered so often. It's pretty good. The other, I think Tarful and Gentle Giant as a combo are holy crap. I actually almost did not put Tarful in my deck. I had 2 Warrior Wookiees, 2 Gentle Giants, the 2 Worcester sauce Wookiees, and then 1 Tarful in my Han Blue deck, and Tarful does way too much work. I did not understand how good Tarful was. Again, I think Control could still work around it, right? But Tarful, I don't know. Tarful is with Gentle Giant is just a chef's kiss. Holy crap, I did not know. Here it is. Here's Tarful doing damage. Oh, I get to do damage back to you. You didn't kill either of my Wookiees. And then here comes Gentle Giant. I'm going to heal Tarful. Tarful then swings again, does the same thing. It's like you need a board wipe at that point. And if you don't have a board wipe, it's oh my God. I'm actually more excited to play Wookiees than I ever was after this weekend, just for the pure fact that I want them to be really good, because they are similar to that Ewok burn deck I ran in Destiny, except for they're a Wookiee burn deck, and that's my goal is to build a super competitive Wookiee burn deck. That's what my goal is. There you go.
Nice.
So those are the 2 ones.
Yeah.
Any other ones you felt were underrated at all?
Yeah, the Gray Squadron Y-Wings and Ray.
Okay.
Oh,
I was gonna say the same thing. The Gray Squadron Y-Wing. Holy crap! I agree with you on that one. I hated that card.
Terrorized me. Yes, they terrorized me for my first event that I played with Ray, because oh my gosh, they're 1/3. Doesn't sound like an impressive stat line, but when they do attack, they deal 2 damage to a card of the opponent's choice. So it could go to the base or go to a unit or whatever. And because they're low, they're a perfect candidate for Ray's ability. So you can buff them up to a 4/7 if you're constantly using Ray's ability. And now they're dealing right. But if they're at 3, then you buff her. You can still use Ray's ability one last time to make them into a 4/7. Because her ability is 3 and under.
Hold on.
Yeah. But in any case, whether it's
2 or less power. No, it's 2 or less power, my friend.
Then I was cheated.
All right. JJ cheats on stream. There we go.
I didn't cheat. I was
Hold on. Let me get this. Is Crispy. Crispy, by the way, JJ cheated on you. Anyway. but either, you cannot buff it over the 2. So you can buff it once and it becomes a 2/4. which is still pretty good. It doesn't survive like open fire. Like I think it has a harder time outside of draft and sealed. But oh man, was that card? Yeah, that card was so like I played that in my my Boba deck, and like the very first game, people were like oh pick a unit or a base, do 2 damage. Oh okay. Oh, well, I don't have anything to kill it. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Like I had 2 of them that one day. I don't know. They were so good cards. Just so I think that was one we missed. We said was a crap card. I actually think that's a pretty good card, especially because the slot it replaces is the X-wing, right? Like we had an X-wing that was a 2/3. This is a 1/3 that does 2 damage to whatever they want. Like sure, you know what? It will not work against great units, but that's about it. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to think of the other one. I don't think there was anything else that I found underrated per se out of all of them. I don't think we underrated Ray. We put Ray pretty high tier ranking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think of any other cards. I know that no bargain card was pretty good in draft, but I still don't think it's very good in Premier.
Yeah, in Premiere, I don't think so. Yeah, draft is decent. Yeah.
So, all right. The next question we have is there a strategy for upgrading current decks with new cards? There are so many new cards for me as a player who only gets to locals once a week. Is there a way to prioritize which ones to collect? And I think I think that's a good question.
Yeah, I think honestly for me, like when I was looking to like upgrade my cards, right? What I've been playing a lot of recently is Tarkin. Tarkin likes to have cheap units that he can upgrade up to become bigger units in order for them to do a lot more damage over time. So as I'm going through like my pre-release cards, that I'm going through it, I'm focusing on the aspects that I tend to play a lot with it, right? I'm looking at a lot of villainy aspect. I'm looking at a lot of green aspect, and then of course the combo green and villainy aspect on there. And then I kind of take a look to see if it kind of fits what I needed to do. Anything that could get buffed up quickly, that can be played cheaply for Tarkin is something that I would take a look at to include it. Is it going to be better than what I already have in my list there? In my list, I'm carrying. I have a Tarkin red deck that has like cheap stormtroopers that are 3/1. If I could get a cheap 1-cost card that can do a lot better, I would absolutely put it in there. Like for me, I'm considering switching to blue because there is a 1-cost Hydro Goblin Trooper that's a 1/4 that has grit. That just gets better and better with experience, and the more you damage it, the more damage it does back. That stuff like that, right? Stuff that gets really enhanced really quickly with Tarkin. That I would absolutely consider running in my list there. So, just look at the keywords there. You're looking primarily at what leader you feel the most comfortable with, what matches with them, and then work from there. Don't be stuck on having this secondary aspect from your land be there. Take a look across the board. There'll be stuff that thematically matches well with that particular unit. Sabine and Mandos, for instance, really, really great combo. And you can build off of there, and you can prioritize on making that particular deck stronger. And that way, as you're getting cards there that you collect, if you're building a particular aspect or a particular leader, you can trade out cards that you're not going to use in order to get cards that you are going to use and get multiple copies of, and that way that makes your deck stronger overall.
All right. So 2 things I gained from this. The first one is Hydro Goblin.
Yeah, Hydro Goblin
is called it's the Enforcer. Usually I'm the one that cannot pronounce words. I was doing it off from memory. And I'm telling you right now, what I want is somebody make me an alt art right now. Somebody make me an alt art of the Hibernal Enforcer with Green Goblin's face on it. 100%.
With water.
Yes, just do it. Do it right now. Like, somebody make me that effing card. I will replace every card in my deck, and I will go to a fucking tournament with that card. I don't care. I will print the card and give it to me, or give me the damn design, and I will print the bloody card because JJ has upped the ante of Tanner not being able to actually pronounce cards, and JJ's not even drinking. Like, that's the best part. Is JJ's sober as hell. So I don't even think JJ drank water tonight. So
no, I haven't.
So I'm throwing this out there for anybody that's listening and would like to do this. And now I'm just diverting the conversation. But in reality, if we want to go back, the first thing is that if you have a deck that you are playing that you would like us to tweak or to kind of upgrade for you, 100% hit us up and send it to us either on Discord or at plainingfacesyndicate@gmail.com. Either one of those works, and let us. We will take it and put it on screen. We used to do this for X-Wing. I will 100% do this for Unlimited. Secondly, the main thing you want to look at is the deck that you're playing now a deck you want to continue to play forward? Whether or not the cards are good or not, do you want to play that deck? That's really the first question you got to ask yourself is, do you want to continue to play the deck? Like, I don't particularly like Tarkin. I will not play Tarkin unless like it's a draft or sealed event. JJ really likes Tarkin, and that's fine. Both of us like Thrawn, and both of us know Thrawn's not super amazing. Even this set is not that much better, but if it's a deck you really like, then the biggest thing you have to look at is what cost for each of yours does something else do. So I'm going to pick on Pelp, for example. I run Cell Block Guards in Pelp. They have the brand new Phase 3 Dark Trooper. That's a green. It costs 3, and if you don't kill it, it upgrades. So basically, it has the exact same stat lines plus a special ability, and it's green. I don't need a Cell Block Trooper anymore. I literally could just play a Phase 3 Dark Trooper because it does the exact same thing, and if you don't kill it, it gets an upgrade. Most of the time, you're killing it. I don't think you have to worry about it ever getting an upgrade, but it does the exact same thing, plus has a bonus, and, by the way, it activates the Gamorrean Guards. So now I can add another Sentinel in there and activate it and play it for 5 resources and essentially 2 Sentinels out there for it, which you have to then kill. So that's the first thing that you have to look at. The second thing is if you're looking at prioritizing cards and stuff like that, you can essentially take a common for a common, an uncommon for an uncommon, a rare for a rare. You can look at those things and you can look at the stats. And most of the time, the stats are pretty similar-ish, so you can replace a 1-for-1. And that's what I would tell you is the first thing you have to do is go into your deck, say, hey, what's a 1-for-1 and can I replace it? So if you're just trying, so for example, I'm upgrading Pelp, and do I want to add Snoke into my Pelp if I'm running a Pelp Blue? If I'm running a Pelp Red, do I want to add, for example, Crate Dragon over Palpatine unit? You know, like, what are you trying to accomplish with your deck? If your deck's goal is to do burn, you don't want to put a Crate Dragon in there that comes out a turn later that will only burn if you hit 9 resources. And so you have to think about that. Like, my Pelp Red does not run ramp at all. I run a little bit of ramp, but like it's the super laser attacks. That's it. Other than that, I don't run ramp. So you have to think about it. If you run a lot of ramp and you could take your unit and say, well, I'm already running ramp, I can upgrade this unit, and the Crate Dragon does a million times more damage than a Palpatine unit does. But in a non-ramp Palpatine deck, my Palpatine unit does better than that Crate Dragon because I can kill something when it comes out, and then the next turn I now have a 6/6 that I can, attack with things. And so those are what you want to consider when you're considering how you want to upgrade your deck.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, we are going to wrap the episode up. Again, I encourage you, if you have a deck you want us to upgrade or something you want to, talk through, send us a message on Discord. Tell us what your goal is, or send us an email, one of the two, and just say, hey, these are kind of what we're looking at. Like, will you guys tear this deck apart and build it? Alex is really good at that. That's like one of Alex's favorite things to do. And we will 100% always do that for you. If we get list submissions from users, we'll do it. So if you have not already, I will just give the friendly reminder. There's a screen in the corner. Follow us on YouTube, Discord, Facebook, Patreon, and Podbean. We are on all the podcasting forums. Just follow us, give us a like, give us a download. We are working on creating smaller blocks of content. So if you have an opinion on what you want to see, like our podcast that goes on Podbean, that goes to all the podcast catchers, that's never going to change. You will always get a full set of content on the podcast, period. We will never change that. But if you think YouTube videos, if you're like, hey, I only watch your YouTube videos, I'd actually rather just watch a half hour to an hour's worth of content, could you break those up? Let us know. I mean, if we get enough people, I'll just take the podcast episodes instead of uploading just a base podcast episode. I'll just upload like each of the different segments separately for you to enjoy. I don't know. JJ, thank you for joining me tonight. It was a pleasure. We had a very long cast tonight. We did our X-Wing podcast. If you like X-Wing, you want to check us out there. Check us out here. Either which way. Thank you. Have a good night. We'll be back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, with more Star Wars Unlimited content. Thank you. Have a good night, and I'll see you on the Flippity Flop.
Have a good night, everybody.